Boom, 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 bam. Welcome to the Great Debate Show. It's your favorite uncle, Uncle JJ, and as always, I got something to say. And today, I want to say it's been 31 years since the San Francisco 49ers have won a Super Bowl. 31 years. The 1994 season was the last time it happened. We are now in season 25. And I just want to give you a brief rundown of everything or every reason why we did not win a Super Bowl in that particular season from 1995 all the way to, well, 2024, if we don't win this year, 2025. I'm going to give you a quick rundown as quick as I can. It is 31 years. And I know there's a lot of years where we didn't even make the playoffs. We were not bad. Those will be the quick years. But I want to give you just a trip down memory lane as to why the Niners have not won a Super Bowl in 31 years. A team that won 5, just like that, in a decade and a half. And, well, it's kind of went back to what it was before the 80s arrived. Also, I want to give you some wrestling news. Jacob Fatu may be injured. We'll find out if they're going to let us know that on SmackDown tomorrow night. I've got a Thursday night football preview. Steelers at Bengals. Are the Steelers on upset alert against Joe Flacco and the Bengals? And I got a few college football picks for week 8 in college football. But first, let me go ahead and start with this 49ers stuff because, well, this is a lot to digest. We haven't won since 1994. I'm doing this because this is the year that I actually think the curse could be over. At least I did before the season started. Now, this is before George Kittle went down. This is before I knew Brandon Ayuk would still be out even after 7 weeks of the NFL. This is before I knew that Purdy was going to be out. This is before I knew Bosa would tear his ACL and Fred Warner would dislocate and fracture his ankle. Do I still have some hope? Yeah, I'll keep a little hope alive. However, boy, are we stacked against the deck. It's going to be a long shot. A long, long, long shot. All right, starting with 1995. After we won in 94 and became Super Bowl champions, well, I thought we were probably going back to back. Dion went to Dallas, though, so I was like, those sons of bitches. But there's one team that I'm going to tell you that kept the 49ers from going the distance. It's just one team, and it's not the Dallas Cowboys. After all of the years of 92 and 93 and us just not being able to get past the Cowboys, we finally got that monkey off our back, and we beat them in 94. You would think, okay, well, that's that. We're going to be dangerous from here on out. We can beat them. Watch out. I don't even know if we would have beaten the Cowboys in 95. We didn't get to see. Why? Because of the team that I'm about to tell you that got the best of us for the next several seasons. In 1995, the 49ers had a bye week just like they did every year. The Cowboys had a bye. The Niners had a bye. We at Candlestick Park had to play the Green Bay Packers. This was the first year everybody knew the Packers have arrived. They were always getting close. You knew they were coming. But then Sterling Sharp went down with an injury, never played again. And, kind of thought that, okay, we're going to be all right. But no, we were not. All of the talks about how the 49ers were good but finesse, yeah, that seemed to be true. Real Niner fans can admit that. Because every time we played the Cowboys at first and then the Packers, the one reason why we could not beat those teams were because of the lack of physicality. And the Packers were physical, and they punched us in the mouth in 95. And as much as I thought that we were going to the Super Bowl, we did not. We lost the first playoff game. We were one and done. And the Packers went on to play the Cowboys. They, just like we, had to face our fears and finally get past the Cowboys. The Packers had to do the same. But they always had our number. Anyway, what was the curse in 95 as to where we didn't win? I would just say it was the Green Bay Packers. We were just not physical enough. All right, 96. The 49ers are still a pretty good football team, but this is where Steve Young and the injuries start to take a toll. He had cracked ribs going into the NFC divisional playoff game against the Green Bay Packers. I think we had just beaten the Philadelphia Eagles the previous week in the wild card. So now we go to Green Bay, Lambeau Field. The curse, Steve Young got hurt, plus Desmond Howard. He pretty much killed us on his own. The Niners defense didn't play bad. We were in that game in Lambeau Field. It was terrible weather conditions, terrible field conditions. But we still were hanging in there. We were still trying to figure out if J.J. Stokes was a rightful number one or first round pick. Terrell Owens was, not getting the snaps he should be getting because, he was drafted in the third round, not the first like J.J. And Jerry Rice was still Jerry Rice. But Elvis Gerback had to finish that game in Lambeau Field, and Desmond Howard, punt return, kickoff return, need I say more? We were doomed. We lost that game. Again, the Green Bay Packers. And as I give you this rundown, a lot of times I'm going to tell you a team that eliminated my Niners and they went to the Super Bowl or they won the Super Bowl. In 96, not only did Green Bay beat us, they won the Super Bowl. They beat the Patriots in Super Bowl 31. After they beat us, they beat Carolina, and they went on to beat the Patriots in the Superdome in New Orleans. 1997. Well, this is a weird year. One of the strangest years of my life being a 49er. I'm a high school student, teenager, watching this game. In this game, I mean, week 1. Sunday. Jerry Rice gets a devastating knee injury. Thanks a lot, Warren Sapp. That injury puts Jerry Rice, we thought, on the shelf for the entire season. He's done. We lose that game. We go 0-1, and then I think we go on like a 9-10 game winning streak. We must have been like 9-1, 10-1 before we lost again. And then we started hearing rumors that Jerry Rice could possibly come back. Some people thought he should. Some people thought, no, don't mess up the chemistry. This is the first year under Steve Mariucci, and the 49ers were balling. How could that be? They don't have their GOAT. Well, we did. Without Jerry Rice, Steve Mariucci, and the offense, Steve Young, Garrison Hurst, just bringing him in, William Floyd, Terrell Owens, still emerging, getting more snaps, Rice, even now that Rice is out, and J.J. Stokes. Man, we were looking pretty damn good. Looking pretty good. Even our tight end, who I can't recall his name right now, but we were playing good football, and we went all the way to the NFC Championship game in the 97 season, and Jerry Rice made his return right before the postseason. Some people think that was a mistake. Some was glad he was back. I don't know for sure if Rice is the reason why we didn't win. I would say it's because guess who we ran into? Yeah, the Packers. For a third straight year, the Packers knocked us out and eliminated us for the second time in 3 years. They did it in our own stadium. Home field advantage, wasted. The Packers beat us and they went on. Here's the kicker again. They went on to the Super Bowl. Now, it was the NFC Championship game, but still. Any team that beat us for the most part went to the Super Bowl or won the whole thing. And the Packers came up short, even though that's still a questionable call at the end of Super Bowl 32. But the Packers lost to the Denver Broncos. But they beat us, and I just knew that that was the year. We would get a rematch of Super Bowl 24. When the Niners beat the Broncos 55-10, it's going to be the Niners and Broncos again. But it was not the case because we ran into Green Bay. And that was our curse from 95, 96, 97, and now moving to 98. The Niners were still relevant, but this is where Steve Young and the injury started to take a toll more and more. The offensive line started to dwindle. And this is the first year without Eddie DeBartolo. He was suspended in 97, but he didn't come back in 98 when he should have. DeBartolo was reportedly, allegedly suspended for 1 year, even though he didn't come back in 98 due to a gambling scandal. Yeah, he bribed a Louisiana judge to give him a gambling license, and there's no telling how much money Eddie DeBartolo made for the times that he had been gambling. We don't know exactly how many years he had been doing that, but my theory is that he did it in the 80s when we won 4 Super Bowls, and he continued to do so in the 90s when we won our 5th Super Bowl in 1994. If this game is scripted like I do think it is at times, sometimes I think it's real. Most of the time, I think it's not. If it's not real, and Eddie DeBartolo knew that the 49ers would win 5 Super Bowls, or he just knew that with no salary cap, he could do the things that he did to manipulate the cap and, always get his players get his players paid and, have the right roster put together to win. And if he knew that they would win Super Bowls, how much money did he make? He probably went against the grain. The Illuminatis of the world probably said you don't bite the hand that feeds you, but because, well, if you know about the DeBartolos out of Youngstown, Ohio, they're kind of the mob. And that's probably the only reason why he's still alive to this day. That's just my theory. And I think that the 49ers have been cursed since that day that he got caught and he was suspended in 1997. Now, I could say that and say the end. But realistically, I'll give you the reasons as to why these Niners would come up short from not winning a Super Bowl. But Eddie DeBartolo, it starts there. So in 98, this is the first year where it's official. He's given the team to his sister. Yeah, Marie DeBartolo, who married John York, have now took over the football team. Some people thought that it would go downhill from there. It began to do so. Just bear with me. In 98, though, it wasn't so bad. The Niners still were competitive. We made the playoffs. And then we ran into the Atlanta Falcons. Yeah, the Dirty Birds had arrived. Nobody really saw that coming in 98, but they did it. Dan Reeves, Jamal Anderson, Chris Chandler was the quarterback, but they played physical, stout, stingy defense, and they could run the ball like nobody's business. In 98, in the NFC divisional round, we lost to the Atlanta Falcons when we came into the Georgia Dome. And I think we lost the very first possession in Atlanta. Garrison Hurst went down. Garrison Hurst had got out to a great start as a 49er, and it was a great free agent addition. And it looked like we were going to actually have a great game. I think he went down the first drive, the first couple of snaps, maybe the first damn snap, I don't know. But it was a very good carry, good run, and he hurts himself. I think he tore his ACL, or I don't remember the injury. It was a leg injury, but it was pretty bad, and he was done for the game. And I think the Niners were done from that play on. While we hung in there and tried to keep it close, we did not have a shot, I don't think. And the Atlanta Falcons beat us, and that was the curse, in my opinion, Garrison Hurst going down. And once again, a team that beat us in the playoffs went on to the Super Bowl. Atlanta probably shouldn't have been in the Super Bowl, but thanks to Gary Anderson and a few missed field goals in Minnesota, they beat the Vikings, the best football team in NFL history to not win a Super Bowl, at least the best offense, that is. That was the 98 Vikings, but the Falcons beat them, and they went on to get spanked by the Denver Broncos in Super Bowl 33. Had the Vikings won, I don't think the Broncos would have went back-to-back, but that's neither here nor there. The Falcons eliminated us, and I think it was Garrison Hurst's injury that did it. The next curse, 1999, Steve Young retired. The Niners, were not the same 49ers. Jerry Rice is aging. Terrell Owens is emerging still, but the offensive line was not the same. We had to revamp everything, and this is where we kind of went into a reset. Steve Mariucci in year 3. The Niners were pretty bad in 99 and 2000, and Jerry Rice played his last game with the 49ers in 2000 before going on to the Oakland Raiders. There was promise and hope for the Niners, though, as Jerry Rice last game with the Niners, Terrell Owens had about 21 catches, setting an NFL record for wide receivers, a record that he held for a little while. So fast forwarding, the curse for 2099, Steve Young left, and we had a reset. The 90s are now gone, and so were those memorable moments. 94 would be the last year that we would win a Super Bowl, and the last year that we dominated the 90s. 2001, well, there's hope. The Niners are actually emerging with the addition of Kevin Barlow in the backfield, Jeff Garcia now arriving, and it turned out to be a pretty good move. In his second year, he was ready as he and Terrell Owens got a connection, and they connected more and more. And T.O. finally showed the league, I am here. Stop talking about Randy Moss. Rice is finally gone, and y'all see J.J. Stokes is a bust. I'm that guy. Took about 4 or 5 years for the Niners to really see it, but they finally saw it. He and Steve Mariucci didn't get along very well. That was a curse within his own, but the Niners went to the postseason in 2001, surprisingly to a lot. But I knew that we would actually do that as a, teenager, just getting out of high school, I believe. I knew the Niners would do their thing. They went to the postseason, but once again, they lost the NFC wild card and where? Lambeau Field. To who? Yeah, you guessed it, the Green Bay Packers. Once again, our Achilles heel. Even in the early 2000s, we still have to deal with Brett Favre and the Packers. They were still more physical, though, and our defense was atrocious. It was Terrell Owens and Jeff Garcia. That was pretty much it. Ty Streets, Cedric Wilson. Moving on to 2002, we were a little better than 01. We wouldn't have gotten far had we did beat the Packers. Why? Because the Packers the very next week got their asses dragged in St. Louis to the Rams. It was the greatest show on turf from 99 to the early 2000s. But in 2002, the Niners actually started splitting games with the Rams in the regular season. And even though we didn't know this was Steve Mariucci's last season, the Niners went to the postseason and they actually won a playoff game. Yeah, probably shouldn't have won it, but what a comeback. As we came back from, 19-20-something down to Jeremy Shockey, Kerry Collins, Tiki Barber, and the Giants. We beat the Giants. What a comeback in the NFC wildcard game, 2002. I literally was at home watching, jumped off the couch, put my head on the ceiling fan. That hurt, but I didn't even feel it because I was so damn happy that my Niners were going to the next round. But as I told you all in this episode, you're going to hear me talk about teams that eliminated us and went on to go to the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl. And in 2002, our next opponent would be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers beat the brakes off of us. Offensive line couldn't block worth a damn to that relentless pass rush that the Buccaneers had. Had we just ran the ball more, we probably would have beat them, or we would have had a chance. How do I know that? The next season, we beat the brakes off of them by rushing for over 200 yards. And we had just done that the previous year. Maybe that was enough to get Mariucci fired because that was his last game as the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers. He would go to Detroit, and we would go hire Dennis Erickson. Yeah, I know, right? Who? After the Niners lost to Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers went on not only to go to the Super Bowl, but to win. Super Bowl 30. Super Bowl 37. I'm sorry. Super Bowl 37. So, the curse on why we didn't win in 2002? We ran up into a team that was just better than us and we were not physical. These are the things that Eddie DeBartolo, though, again, that's the biggest curse of all of this. Had he been still around the team, had he still had the team in the palm of his hands, maybe we would have got that fixed, or maybe it was just said that you're not going to win. You can't win because of what you did, Eddie. And maybe that's why we never got the physical defense that we needed. 2003 was a bad year under Dennis Erickson, and we did not win. It was Terrell Owens last year as a 49er. He said he wanted $25 million. And at that time, that was a lot of money for a wide receiver. And that's not even per year. That was just a full contract. But this is the early 2000s. We failed miserably under Dennis Erickson. Kevin Barlow was left by his own. Tim Rattay was starting most games because Garcia had injuries. And that was the kind of curse for us that year. Injury after injury. Terrell Owens was the only one who remained healthy. And he had Tim Rattay chunking him the football. We missed the playoffs. And Terrell Owens was traded to Baltimore. Somehow ended up in Philly. Jeff Garcia went to Cleveland, I believe, and the rest was pretty much history. Julian Peterson, I don't even know if he stayed after 03, but He was the only good player on our defense. Remember Mike Rumpf and Ahmed Plummer? We were terrible on defense. So 2003 was bad. 2004 and 5 was even worse. 2004 was so bad, we ended up getting the #1 draft pick. That's how we were able to get Alex Smith. Alex Smith came in, and well, what could he do? We had no team. We drafted Frank Gore. That was promising, but we were terrible. We drafted Vernon Davis in 06. We drafted Patrick Willis in 07. We brought in Justin Smith as a free agent. Drafted Ray McDonald, Paris Harrison. These are the few people that we slowly but surely drafted along the way under head coach Mike Nolan. From 05 to 08, he wasn't good. He didn't get enough wins. Didn't have enough talent. It takes time to rebuild. And Alex Smith dealt with so many injuries. It took us years to find out if Alex Smith was a bust or could he really be our franchise quarterback. Midway through the 08 season, Mike Nolan was fired and Mike Singletary took over. And then there was the infamous locker room debacle where Vernon Davis was being a diva or something. I still don't know to this day exactly what DD did, but it pissed off Singletary to where he pulled his pants down in the locker room in front of the whole teammates and let them know that he couldn't win with a team like that. The infamous, famous now, memorable, can't win with him. Can't coach him, can't win with him, can't do it, can't do it. Mike Singletary was a horrible head coach though for the 49ers, and from 08 to 2010, hey, the Niners gave him a chance. I was proud that the Niners gave a black man an opportunity to be the head coach of my San Francisco 49ers, but he failed miserably. The only thing he did good was draft LeVar Bowman in 2010, and he drafted 2 offensive linemen that turned out to, get us in the Super Bowl in the next few years if you just stay with me. Anthony Davis at left tackle, Mike Iupati at left guard or right guard, and those were some good draft picks under Mike Singletary and General Manager Scott McClellan. But from 05 to 2010, the curse was probably Eddie DeBartolo not having a team and being penalized, punished, disciplined for all the damn money that he might have won that the NFL knew nothing about because, well, he might have moved the script. But realistically, just sticking to football, from 05 to 2010, the Niners were just bad. And yeah, I almost skipped the Crabtree draft in 09. He was a diva. He didn't even sign his rookie deal until maybe like week 6 of the NFL season, week 7. His uncle was his agent at the time, and it was too late. The 09 season was already kind of lost. Still had our shots, had our chances, but we had Troy Smith playing at quarterback. Remember him from Ohio State? Because Alex Smith just could not stay healthy. We also had quarterbacks like J.T. O'Sullivan in 08 and 09, and we had to play. I mean, it was just terrible. What was the curse? We just could not find a quarterback. And that will be the curse still to this day. We still haven't found a franchise quarterback to take us to the promised land since Steve Young left in 99. Fast forward from 05 to 2010, nothing to talk about. We were terrible. A long rebuild that kept getting worse and worse, and when we finally got it right. How? Jim Harbaugh. From Stanford to San Francisco. Just like Bill Walsh. Could he be the next Bill Walsh? What I was thinking. In 2011, his first season as a 49ers head coach, he said, I can work with Alex Smith. No problem. We found out that he is comfortable. He is competent. He is serviceable at quarterback. And we won 13 games in our first season, in his first season as our head coach, and went on to the NFC Championship game in 2011. Who would have thought? Harbaugh said Vernon Davis is a 5-year veteran, and he's got speed and agility. He's got a connection with Alex Smith. I can make this work. Patrick Willis is on defense. Justin Smith is on defense. He drafted Aldon Smith. We had Ahmad Brooks. Next thing you know, we've got a defense and Frank Gore, of course, in the backfield. The rest is history. That offensive line, those 2 guys, Anthony Davis and Mike Iupati, that worked. That helped. We got a good center. And we were good to go. The Niners went to the NFC Championship game. What was the curse on why we didn't win the Super Bowl that year? Oh, number 10. Niner fans know who that is. And I don't even have to say his name, and I won't. Now, I wasn't one of the fans that gave him death wishes or death threats. Boy, he did catch hell after muffing 2 punts in the NFC Championship game. After that second muff punt in overtime, Eli Manning and the Giants killed a little clock on offense. A few kneels, kicked the field goal, and the Giants went on to win the Super Bowl as they beat the New England Patriots. Once again, a team that beat us in the playoffs went on to the Super Bowl or winning. They won it. The curse was number 10. The Niners prayed for it to be a rainy, muddy, sloppy, terrible field condition day. And I'm like, well, we got to play on that same field too, right, Jim? Harbaugh? The Giants didn't suffer from that bad field conditions. We did. Number 10 was the curse for 2011. 2012, we did go to the Super Bowl. We got over the hump. The Niners are back in the Super Bowl for the first time since 1994, since the 94 season. Oh, my God. I was so happy for P. Willie, Navarro Bowman, Frank Gore, Vernon Davis. I was so happy for Alex Smith. But by the time we got to the Super Bowl, Alex Smith got a concussion. What was the curse in 2012? Believe it or not, it might have been Alex Smith's concussion. I'll explain later. But as we got to the Super Bowl, we lost to the Baltimore Ravens. If there was any team that we didn't need to see, it was the Baltimore Ravens. We had already saw them in 2011, and they beat the brakes off of us on primetime Thursday night football on Thanksgiving night. So I didn't want to see them in 2012, the Super Bowl. I wanted to see the Patriots, a team that I thought they weren't physical enough. We could smack them around. The next curse, Akeem Talib, got allegedly injured and left the game. Anquan Bolden went off, and the Ravens ended up beating the Patriots in the AFC Championship game. That and a missed field goal, I believe, and the Ravens won. We shouldn't have saw the Ravens. And one more thing I'll say that was the curse for the 49ers that year. Mario Manningham and a backup running back we had at the time named Kendall Hunter went down on the same play in the Superdome in New Orleans during a regular season game once Colin Kaepernick became the new starter. They both went down, and I thought that hurt us big time because we didn't have another go-to guy in Mario Manningham in the receiving department. I'll explain to you why we could have used him in the Super Bowl. And then when Kendall Hunter went down, who was a very, very, very serviceable backup with change of pace type of running back, he was the speed, and Frank Gore was the power. We had to rely on LaMichael James, who was a rookie, I believe, at that time, more than we needed to, as Frank Gore's backup running back. Well, Michael James fumbled in the Super Bowl. We didn't have Mario Manningham. We went to Michael Crabtree in Super Bowl 47 way too many times down the stretch. And last but not least, before we even went to Crabtree on 3 straight plays within the 5-yard line where we could not get in the end zone, Jim Harbaugh called a timeout. After arguing with offensive coordinator Greg Roman up in the booth about which play to call. The play clock ran down because of it. He had to burn a timeout. But right before they blew their whistle, they snapped the ball, and Colin Kaepernick was going into the end zone on a read option to the left side of the field that Ray Lewis and company did not see coming. And we not called the timeout. And they didn't stop that play. We would have been in the end zone right there. 3-4 plays later, we continued to try Michael Crabtree, and that did not work. We lost Super Bowl 47. That was the curse, in my opinion. The timeout by Harbaugh, Kendall Hunter and Mario Manningham going down shortly before the playoffs on the same play, and Akeem Talib getting injured in the AFC Championship game. Now, people are going to listen to this and say, there he is whining. The 40 whiners is what they do best. I'm just telling you that we've had our moments and our shots and our opportunities, and I'm breaking down to you, if this hadn't have happened, if that hadn't have happened, we will be champions by now for a 6th time. and we could stop saying quest for six. 2013, the 49ers. What a year. Once again, we go get a wide receiver that I guess we kind of took the if you can't beat them, join them approach. After 2011, losing to Mario Manningham and the Giants, we signed him in free agency in 2012. Didn't work out. He was kind of one and done. That injury, I don't think he really ever came back from it. So in 2013, after getting our asses kicked by Baltimore, we did it again. We went to go trade for Anquan Bolden. Now we got him for a bag of barbecue chips and a ham sandwich, but still, boy, did Anquan Bolden have an amazing 2013. Hell, 14 as well. But 13, man, we were cooking. Colin Kaepernick looked like he was really, really, really that dude. And nothing would stop him from us winning a Super Bowl this time around. After winning 12 games in the 2013 season, we were still faced to go to Lambeau Field to play the Packers, who only won 9 games that year and barely got in the playoffs. But because they won their division, this is why that rule needs to change, even though it won't. We had to go to Lambeau Field, beat them. Had to go to Carolina, beat them. Then we had to go to Seattle, Lumen Field. We lost that game, of course, and LOB went on to win the Super Bowl. Once again, a team that eliminated us either went to the Super Bowl or won the whole damn thing. But what's the curse on how we lost that year? I would say Navarro Bowman and his leg injury. The man forced a fumble, picked up the fumble, and never lost that ball. Held on to it the whole time while getting his leg snapped and bent around. All kind of which ways. He still held on to that ball, but we didn't win the game. And as Navarro Bowman went to the locker room on that cart, Seattle Seahawks fans threw beer bottles at him and threw trash at the man. Say what you will about Niner fans, but we would have never done that. We've never done anything like that to an injured player in Levi Stadium or Candlestick Park. And that was the infamous game where Richard Sherman said, mediocre. That's what happens when you try me. I was so pissed off at Crabtree from the previous year of not getting in the end zone and us continuing to try him. Richard Sherman knew that Colin Kaepernick would try to win the game and seal the deal with Crabtree, and it did not work again. Now, I'm not going to tell you Crabtree didn't actually have a step on Sherman, but Kaepernick did not put that ball where it needed to be accurate. Should have been better ball placement, and we didn't have the quarterback to do that. That's when I begin to realize if it comes down to his arm, we're toast. If it comes down to his legs, we win. Harbaugh was trying to win a Super Bowl before the rest of the NFL caught up to the read option. That didn't happen. And one of the reasons why, Kaepernick tried Crabtree. And Bowman got hurt. LOB won. They went on to beat the brakes off of the Broncos in the Super Bowl, and the rest is history. And once again, when I thought it would be Niners and Broncos, we fell short. 2014, the Niners went 8-8, and it would be Harbaugh's last season as the 49ers head coach. Where's the curse at? They got rid of Harbaugh, and it was already said that it would probably be his final season. Jay Glazer from Fox Sports reported that week 1, that even if the Niners won the Super Bowl in 2014, this probably would be Harbaugh's last season. I'm like, damn. The curse of that year? Jed York chose general manager Trent Baalke over Jim Harbaugh. And officially, just like that, after 4 years, 11, 12, 13, yeah, after 4 seasons, the Harbaugh era was over. 3 straight NFC championship appearances, a Super Bowl appearance, and 1 year where they finally just were 500, 8-8. They fired his ass. He went to Michigan. We hired Jim Tomsula in 15, terrible. We hired Chip Kelly in 2016, even more terrible. And then in 2017, I do give Jed York credit. After 2 straight seasons of bad years with bad coaches, he said, hey, you're fired, you're fired. He hired Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan started off the 2017 regime. He hired general manager John Lynch. And in 17 and 18, well, we had to lick our wounds. Jimmy Garoppolo became the quarterback later that year. 2018, he got hurt. That was the curse. He made a bad move. Dumb play. Idiotic decision towards ACL in Kansas City. Week 3 of the 2018 season. 2019, Well, we went to the Super Bowl. Can you believe that? In year 3 of the Shanahan and Lynch era, we're back in the Super Bowl 7 years later. After the 2012 Harbaugh Super Bowl team, we're back. How did we not win that game? We lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. What was the curse for that? I'm not even sure. I mean, Richard Sherman got burned on a play. Well, he could have got burned all year long, but they just would not throw it his way. I would probably say the 3rd and 20 or 3rd and 15 to Tyreek Hill. Blown coverage by Tavares Moore, I want to say. And Jimmy Ward had to make the stop, but it was a big 3rd down that led the Chiefs to score later that drive. They were down 10, but they didn't look back after they got in the end zone right there. And then we know Jimmy Garoppolo overthrowing Emmanuel Sanders, and the rest was history. But right before we went into halftime and George Kittle got called for offensive PI, an actually accurate pass by Jimmy Garoppolo down the right sideline. Kind of like a wheel route. And it was complete. They called an offensive PI. We were not getting the calls at all. Everything was going our way during that season. But when we got to the Super Bowl, they build you up to let you down. I knew then we were not going to win that game. And I told the whole Niner club that I was a part of at the time, as we were watching that game, we're not going to win. We did not. Chiefs got away with a lot of holes. Say what you will, but it's facts. We lost. 2020. What curse was it in 2020? Everybody got injured. MetLife Stadium, week 2. We can call that the curse. Nick Bosa tears his ACL. Solomon Thomas tears his ACL. All on the same play. Raheem Mostert tweaks his ankle pretty damn bad. Everybody was out for the year. Jimmy Garoppolo broke his ankle or twisted it pretty damn bad. He's out for the year. Damn, we lost like 4 or 5 studs in one play, one game. It was all good just a week ago. The rest of the season went completely downhill. The defense still managed to be top 15, top half of the league, maybe top 10, thanks to Robert Saleh. Good enough for him to go take a job, and he went on to the Jets. But the Niners missed the playoffs, and it was an injury-riddled season. This is where the injuries started to take place with Kyle Shanahan during his tenure. 2021, we went all the way to the NFC Championship game and lost to the Rams in LA. What was the curse that year? I would say that we had to play the Rams 3 times. We had swept them in the regular season, and I knew we're not beating them 3 times in 1 year. It's rare that it happens, and unfortunately for us, it didn't happen that year either. 2022, it was still good. Very good. We went all the way to the NFC Championship game. Brock Purdy is now the man. Oh, and if I wanted to say a curse, Trey Lance got injured. Garoppolo came back. Some people say that was a gift and a curse, but we still didn't have enough to get it done with Jimmy either. And in 22, Purdy arrived, thanks to Jimmy Garoppolo getting hurt yet again. The curse was the NFC Championship game. Another injury. And Brock Purdy, about to make a big play to Brandon Ayuk, who would have still been running in the end zone today, 3 years later. But it was poor protection by Kyle Shanahan. Old Kyle, no style. And Brock Purdy got his right arm hit pretty hard, and the rest was history. He couldn't feel really with that arm. He couldn't throw football anymore, and we ran out of quarterbacks. The Eagles didn't just blow us out, really, but it began to get ugly because we ran out of quarterbacks. A lot of fans say that we whined and complained about that all season until we played the Eagles again the next year in Philly, and we came back in there and we dragged their asses. Just like we would have done in the 22 championship game, but we lost our quarterback. It's another jinx or curse, whatever you want to call it. 2023. We went to the Super Bowl. Again, we're back. Yeah, 4 years later. Now with Brock Purdy. Everything that we set out to do in 22, we did it in 23. Christian McCaffrey is on fire still. And it's like, Yeah, fuck them picks. We're going to do it this time. This is the time we get our revenge on Kansas City. We're going to fucking do it. What's the curse at here? Drake Greenlaw goes down on I can't even say a play. Right after the kickoff return team did their thing or whatever, he's just going back on the field casually, and he just snaps his damn Achilles. What? You tore your Achilles just running back on the field? But it's usually no contact when it happens, and it happened, and everybody lost their breath in San Francisco. The Bay Area, the Niner fans. Everybody just got silent like, oh my God. Yeah, we still got Fred, no doubt. He's the heart and soul of this defense, but damn, Drake Greenlaw, that's our guy. We need him too. This is the closest thing that we have to Patrick Willis and Navarro Bowman. And he went down, and he didn't play in the second half, and you could tell his absence was felt and missed. The 49ers did not do enough offensively to run away from the Chiefs. And when it went to overtime, you just kind of knew. Here's Kyle again, coaching not to lose the game instead of coaching to win the game. But the coach is Drake Greenlaw. And I think if he stayed in that game, we find a way to make another play here or there. The defense was cooking. Patrick Mahomes and the offensive line, they were struggling. They couldn't get anything going. But when Greenlaw left, things kind of opened up a little bit for him. Trent Williams was also bad in that game. The offensive line was bad. We couldn't block. Christian McCaffrey had a fumble. Brandon Ayuk only got like 4 targets, and Debo got more. Don't understand that either. But the main curse was Drake Greenlaw. We lost Super Bowl 58 in miserable fashion, disappointing, embarrassing fashion. We lost it like a walk-off home run in the 9th inning. And the Chiefs beat us again to win their 3rd Super Bowl, and here we now have lost 3 straight Super Bowls. In 2024, well, it was just another injury-riddled season. That's the curse, which has been that way since I fast forward to 2017, since Shanahan got here. Last year we tried, but everybody was hurt. Everybody kept getting hurt. BA went down. Just too many people went down. And now 2025. Brandon Ayuk is still out. Nick Bosa went down week 2. Fred Warner just went down last week. These guys are done for the season. Our quarterback, Brock Purdy, has been out. He may be on his way back. Ricky Pearsall has shown us he's a wide receiver 1, but now he's been out for 2 or 3 weeks, meaning that he's only been on the field for about, 4 or 5 games in 2 years or a year and a half. We just can't win for losing. The offensive line is atrocious. That's a curse amongst itself. Kyle Shanahan may be the curse for the past 9 years. I don't know. But I just gave you from 1995 all the way to 2025 on why we have not won our Super Bowl in some way, form, or fashion. Could it be everything that I said at the very beginning, that Eddie DeBartolo has just cursed his team by getting caught with the fake gambling license? And maybe they have said that you'll never, ever win again. We just send you back to the Super Bowl every now and then so the Niners can keep the faith alive. And, you can keep your team by keep selling tickets and putting butts in this. I'm not sure. But if it's real, why have we been so unlucky? After 5 straight Super Bowl wins, now we've lost 3 straight. I thought that this would be the year, as I predicted the Niners to beat the Cincinnati Bengals in Super Bowl 60, and we will become the 3rd football team in NFL history to win a Super Bowl in our home stadium. Buccaneers did it in 2020. The Rams did it in 2021. It happened back-to-back years during a pandemic. So if I'm wrong, maybe it'll be because it's not a pandemic anymore. Sounded good when it came out of my mouth. Would have been nice to be right. Am I giving up on the 2025 season? Hell no. The Niners are still going to go for Trey Hendrickson if they can get him for reasonable draft compensation. I don't know what they find reasonable, but I will not give up anything more than a 4th round pick for Trey Hendrickson. I don't want to give up anything more than a 5th, 6th, or 7th because I think we need rounds 1 through 4, as far as the draft picks are concerned, to revamp that offensive line. get a CB2, get that edge rusher opposite of Bosa or to replace Bosa. Did I say fix the offensive line? And let's be honest, we need another safety because Siegel, he's been flat out atrocious in pass coverage. And Jair Brown is not that much better. And what happened to Jason Pennick? He's healthy. Why did he not play last week? The 49ers have still been in games, though, this year. Even the games they've lost, they could have won. If it wasn't for a turnover here or a turnover there, some bad protection here, some bad run blocking there. So how does the rest of the season play out? We still, because of the schedule, could win 10 games. Although some of those teams are starting to look better than what they did when we were looking at it on paper back in May when the schedule came out. Giants coming up, after the Texans, after the Falcons, we've got the Falcons look better than what people thought when we were looking at their schedule during the offseason. The Texans are getting healthy, I'm being told. The Giants are getting better. They've got a quarterback now. We could win those games 7-3. We could lose those games and be 4-7. I don't think the Niners should go all out. I don't think they should, stress it. Look, if somebody falls in your lap and you can acquire a talent like Will McDonald IV and with the Jets, or Jermaine Johnson from the Jets, hey, if it's going to cost you a 5th or a 6th rounder, why not? But don't mortgage your future away. You're going to need that first round pick for that offensive line. I don't care what anybody says. Whether it be Trent Williams, Jake Brendel, Dominic Clooney, Connor Colby, Ben Barch, whoever you have to replace, you got to replace those guys. But if we do fall miserably and we still miss the playoffs with this somewhat easy schedule, even though these teams are really panning out to be better than what people thought, just like we are. Should Kyle Shanahan get fired this year? Could this be it? I wouldn't be mad at it. I would actually love it, because maybe the injuries would stop, the offensive line would finally get addressed, and sometimes it's just time to get the restart button. I still have faith for the Niners this season because, well, we lead the league in yards per game when it comes to passing yards. And the return of the Mac is real. I think we see Mac Jones again play this week. Kittle returns. Ricky Pearsall's still not back yet, but we think he'll be back soon. We think Brandon Ayuk will be back soon. So the offense may have to be the top offense while the defense is at the bottom. And they'll have to carry us. I predicted that by mid-season, this defense will be pretty damn good. We will see. San Francisco 49ers, 30 years and counting. This is 31. When will we stop saying quest for 6? I ain't buying Niner game. Keep the faith alive, faithful. While I hate to use that word, to be honest with you, I just gave you 31 reasons on why you shouldn't really have a lot of faith in 53 million that you can't control, or front office that you have no control over. Because where does that get you? We still don't have a 6th Super Bowl. I made this episode for the Niners, especially for the Niner fans, and my story about the Niners and the 31-year curse, basically because, well, it has been a long damn time, and I'm tired of people trolling me over and over about how does it feel to keep getting back to the Super Bowl and keep botching it. Well, this season we've got the Colts and Kyle Shanahan, the greatest choke artist of all time. All right, I'm done with the Niners. I'll wrap this up with just a few topics outside of the 49ers. Tonight, Thursday Night Football, Steelers at Bengals. Could that be an upset? I don't know. I thought about going with Joe Flacco. But Trey Hendrickson, the guy that the Niners are so high on drafting right now, hell, I don't even know if he's going to be worth it. Why? He's out. We were told a back injury Sunday when he left the game against the Packers and didn't return, but now they're saying he's out tonight because of a hip injury. The Steelers are favored to win by 4.5 on the point spread, minus 240 on the money line. I'll go Pittsburgh, even though I kind of want to pick Cincinnati for the upset, but with Trey Hendrickson being out and a few other players being questionable, Yeah, I think the Steelers probably still can win this game on the road, and which would be good for me. I'm being a little biased, I'll admit this time, because, well, if the Steelers can beat them, and the Bengals have the Bears and the Jets coming up, the Jets then the Bears, I believe. They'll probably beat the Jets, hopefully lose to the Bears. If they go 1-2 in this 3-game stretch, then, well, I would much rather for them to be 2-7, but they'll probably be 3-6. Would that be enough for them to go ahead and trade Hendrickson at the deadline? I don't know. I still kind of hope we do it, but only if the Bengals stop playing hardball. I, for one, won't be surprised if the Bengals, with their stubborn asses, some of the most stubborn people in the front office in the NFL today, and for quite some time, I won't be surprised if they just let Trey Hendrickson walk and get absolutely nothing for him. Just because they don't want to help the Niners or anybody else out by giving that team Trey Hendrickson. But anyway, is he really hurt? Trey Hendrickson out tonight with the hip injury, or is it a trade is coming real soon and they just don't want him to play and get hurt anymore? So they don't want him to play anymore until he's traded. I'm hoping that's what it is, if we can get him for a reasonable price. What would you all give up for Trey Hendrickson? Let me know in the comments. The Great Debate Show is available on all social media platforms. Follow, subscribe, like, share. There's a lot of good content up on the YouTube channel. A lot of great reels and everything on TikTok, Facebook, and X, Instagram, and all of that. I'm also on Twitch. Okay, I'm going to go with the Steelers tonight to take the win on the road, I guess, even though I'm very, very, very skeptical about it. But I'll go with the Steelers because if the Bengals keep losing, they'll have to make some trades. I'll do the NFL picks for Week 7 in the NFL on a Friday. You know I'll be back live on Friday after SmackDown. Speaking of SmackDown, before I get to the college football picks real quick, let me talk about Jacob Fatu. Yeah, Fatu was hurt. Where did that come from? We just found out that Seth Rollins is injured. He's going to miss the Saturday Night Main Event against Punk, the number 1 contender. He's going to miss future dates that he had set up for Japan in the near future. There's rumors that he may even miss WrestleMania 42. The timetable is really not said. Some said several months, but if he misses WrestleMania, that's more than several. That's quite a bit. But back to Fatu. Jacob Fatu was injured. His timeline reportedly revealed after a non-wrestling injury. Jacob Fatu reportedly may have to miss a significant amount of time due to an injury. According to Bodyslam.net, Fatu is dealing with a non-wrestling related injury, and sources indicated it could keep him on the shelf well into 2026. Damn. Yeah, the Samoan Werewolf could likely be out well into 2026, according to Bodyslam.net. Are they going to let us know about that tomorrow night on SmackDown? Or are we going to find out about the World Heavyweight Championship and it being vacated on SmackDown? Or will they wait till Monday Night Raw? Again, Hendrickson is likely out for Thursday Night Football, dealing with a hip injury, not expected to suit up. Breece Hall, his trade is up in the air. James Palmer shares what he's hearing about a running back market that is the hottest name, even though head coach Aaron Glenn is saying he's not a trader. We'll see. In other wrestling news, Andrade has been a no-show, disappearing act since he returned on AEW just like that and attacked Kenny Omega and appeared to be a part of the Don Callis family. That's like a football team worth of people. Well, according to Brian Alvarez, he said, I was told that Andrade is not hurt. He didn't get himself fired either. Apparently, something is up involving his WWE non-compete. When he was fired, remember, we were told that WWE didn't care. That is what I've been hearing. It was WWE sent the letter, and AEW obviously didn't know. AEW obviously believed that there was no non-compete. The initial belief within the WWE circles was that since Andrade was cut outright, he was not going to be paid his 90 days and was free to perform elsewhere. That's PW Insider. And they lastly said that After he began making his appearance, WWE clarified to Andrade that even though he was not going to get the traditional 90 days paid following his release, he was still subject to the 90-day period where he cannot perform elsewhere. Once WWE source said that the company was not going to have a system in place where someone could leave due to violating policies and then end up elsewhere the next day. It was described as a loophole that the WWE could not allow to exist. So right now they've hit the AEW with a cease to exist, and they sent the AEW a cease and desist. And so basically that's why you haven't saw him. This is crazy. There's even rumors that Andrade could end back up in WWE because of this whole. I've never seen someone get fired in such a weird, confusing way. But it's very complicated right now between the WWE and AEW and Andrade. In other news, Paul George, who underwent arthroscopic knee surgery on his left knee back in July, the 35-year-old entering his 16th NBA season, second with the 76ers, has been limited in practice this week, and the developing story is that he won't be ready to start this season. What a surprise. Which is why I didn't put the Sixers in my list of 1 through 8 as far as the seedings that I gave in the NBA Eastern Conference. If you missed that episode, it is up right now on YouTube. A lot of content on there. Go check out those videos. College football, I'll leave you with this. Tennessee at Alabama should be a pretty good game. Alabama's favorite to win by 8.5. I think they do win, but I'd probably stay away from gambling on it. Ole Miss at Georgia. Georgia's favorite about 7.5, and Lane Kiffin is talking shit. I don't know if they're going to win this one on the road or not, but I don't really trust Kirby Smart in Georgia. And I'm probably going to stay away from the betting on this one, over under 53.5. I'm going to put Ole Miss. I mean, Georgia's ranked number 9. They need to win desperately, but I think number 5 Ole Miss can go in there and get the win. I hope I'm right, but I'm probably just going to go with the over if I did then put that on a parlay. LSU at Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt talking a little noise, and they're favored by 2.5 at home. I don't know about this one, y'all. For some reason, I just got the funniest feeling LSU is going to come in there and get the win. Even though I'm very, very critical of Brian Kelly. I told you all Brian Kelly is the most overrated coach in college football history. James Franklin is another guy, in my opinion, who's very overrated. Well, I stand correct after he got fired after 2 straight losses at Penn State, and they're paying that brother like $50 million to go away. Brian Kelly could be the next. At least I hope. But for some reason, I kind of think LSU wins this game. I'm not sure. This Vandy's at home, and I think Brian Kelly's overrated. I'll go with Vandy, but I probably don't bet on it. USC at Notre Dame. Give me Notre Dame at home. They've won 6 consecutive straight home games. I'm going to say they're going to make it 7, but I'll probably go with the under on the 61.5 over-under. Utah at BYU. Give me BYU on the road. I will take them and the points at plus 3.5. Louisville at Miami. Give me Miami, but I'm not betting on that. Nebraska at Minnesota. Yeah, I'm taking Nebraska on the road with the victory. And Georgia Tech at Duke. Yeah, I'm going to go with Georgia Tech, even though this is on the road. At number 12, Duke is favored by 1.5. I don't trust 1.5. So I'll take Georgia, the plus 1.5. Oklahoma at South Carolina. Oklahoma's got to bounce back, y'all. After that loss to Texas on the road, they really do need this now at number 14. I think they pull it off. But I'm probably going under 43.5 at South Carolina. Ohio State at Wisconsin, stop playing. Ohio State, even though I'm not betting on it. Michigan State at Indiana. I'm going Indiana, but I'm going to take the over. And Texas A&M at Arkansas. Texas A&M. But I may go plus 7.5 Arkansas. Texas Tech at Arizona State. Give me Texas Tech and Memphis all over UAB on the road. Go with the over right there with the points. Oregon at Rutgers. Give me Oregon. And that's it for college football. I'm going to get out of here until we eat again. I'll be back tomorrow after SmackDown. And maybe I'll drop in live after Thursday Night Football. Until we eat again, y'all. Be safe out there. Peace.